David Olds joins me here again, and you could learn what his team is up to by heading over to EZREIClosings.com. Again, it's EZREIClosings.com. David was on the show a couple years back. We were talking mostly around wholesaling at that time. We're going to focus on closing here today, but really appreciate your time here, David. This is kind of a fascinating thing because you obviously found a need in the marketplace for what you're doing here now, and it would be interesting to find your way into this journey. Well, EZREIClosings.com. You got to share how you found your way to this. I mean, it sounds like you're doing a lot of business.
Our business absolutely is exploding. And, I think like a lot of businesses, we fell into it a little bit backwards. So, way back, remember 2019, 2020, we were running Nationwide Property Liquidators, which was one of the biggest wholesalers in the country. It was great. And the part of the business that I really focused on and specialized in was the back half dispositions. So I was doing a lot of coaching and consulting and running around the country training teams on how to sell your properties quick and what the best process is because not too many people really teach that, right? Most people focus on the front side of the business, the marketing and acquisitions. So that backside of the business, dispositions and getting your deals closed, that was a thing that I got really well known for, especially among some of the real big wholesaling companies. So got lots of, I was always fielding questions from friends who would, message me, hey, what do I do about this deal? I can't close this. The title company told me they couldn't do it. Just complicated, dirty, messy title issues. So we relaunched our wholesale company, which was great. We went from zero to over 100,000 in 3 months, per month. So that was good. But then, we're trucking along and COVID happened. And so what happened during those first, month or two, a lot of people started to lay off their staff, especially some of the really big companies. And, some of those same guys who were my buddies called me because we still had transaction coordinators in our office because we were really busy. We didn't let them go. And we understand how important that is to making sure that. But they were like, hey, David, I've got this deal. Can your coordinator help me? Can we pay you to use your coordinators for a little bit? And it's funny, this room that I'm sitting in now actually is the room where we had all our TCs sitting originally. So that's kind of how it started, just helping some other people out. The next thing that hit me was with Nationwide Property Liquidators, we did a lot of JV deals, just lots and lots of those. I remember I was talking to this one guy, his name was Mario. He's a wholesaler. Actually, he lives in Alaska and he was investing in Macon, Georgia, which was really weird. But anyways, if you've ever had any experience with a JV partner, they'll do one, two, maybe three deals with you. And then they've made enough money and now they're going to go out and hire their own dispo people, which is great. You want them to be growing their business. But with Mario, he called one time and we were talking through a deal. And I said to him, like, Mario, we've done like 15 deals with you. Listen, I love it. You're a great partner. We love doing deals with you. But just out of curiosity, why do you keep using us? And he thought for a second. He said, well, I mean, you guys always sell my deal. I'm like, well, thank you. Appreciate that. That's nice. He said, but also, I don't have to deal with the title company. You guys do all of it for us because we did that. That was part of when we did a JV deal, we did all of it, the whole second half. So, kind of all of these things were hitting at the same time. And it got me thinking, there's nobody that does this in real estate. There's so many investors, and especially as virtual wholesaling became like a thing, right? Where you can kind of pop in and out of every market in the country. There was nobody that was helping investors to get these deals closed. And then I saw a stat that said as much as 50% of all deals that go under contract will never close. And of those, probably 50% that don't close are because of title issues. And I thought, well, that's something that we really mastered. We've really figured it out. Maybe there's an opportunity here for us to help. So that was, in its infancy, that was where kind of the kernel of let's start this transaction company. Let's see if maybe we can help 10 or 20 people and, we can make a little bit of money. I can kind of supplement what my TCs are making and we'll see if we can do something. And then it just, we went live at an event in Miami was our release in 2021. And from there, you know, it just absolutely exploded last year. 2,202 files, $38 million in closings, and we generated over $29 million in assignment innovation for clients.
So, maybe I misunderstood at first. It sounded like you're almost a title company, but that's not actually the situation, right? Can you kind of break things down exactly what your team helps with?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have our own in-house title company now, but Easy REI Closings, what that company does is we are the person in between the wholesaler or the investor and the title company. One of the misconceptions or misnomers is always just get a good title company and they will do everything for you. Well, that's not actually true. What the title company does is they prepare documents, they do title searches, they tell you what's wrong. But then that what's wrong always comes back to you, and you, the investor, needs to go figure that out. Right.
Mhm,
So, and if you really think about it, what do we do as investors? Right. First off, our job as a wholesaler and investor is, to solve problems. What do? We go out and unfortunately we look for people who have problems or distress where we can help solve those problems. And the more problems we can solve, the lower the price we can get. So, we'll look for death, divorce, probate, bad tenant, late on bills, whatever it is, bad credit. So we're looking for people with those problems. So as an investor, we can come in there and solve them. Again, the more problems we can solve, the deeper the discount. So, that's on the acquisition side. But if you think all the way forward to the disposition side, right, what do we tell our end buyers? Hey, Joe, this is a great deal. I guarantee clear title and proration of taxes. Right? So sometimes it's a chasm to get from one of those to the other. So, an example of that is, you're buying from Penelope and she inherited it from her aunt or uncle are dead, and there's a bunch of other heirs. How are we going to clean up all this? Or, somebody who thinks they own their property free and clear, there's still a mortgage showing. But wait, I paid that mortgage off 15 years ago. Oops, that mortgage company's out or that bank is out of business now. So what do we do? So these are all the problems that come up where, and this was my experience too in the very beginning when I was wholesaling here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I was just losing deals because I would go to the title company, right? And what would happen is title company would look at it and go, "Oh, Davey, there's dead people here. Oh, hey, this was in a tax. Oh, hey, this one's in bankruptcy. You need to get a release or a judgment from the court to remove this from the bankruptcy." So it was all these problems that were coming up, and in the beginning, I didn't understand how to solve them. And it was literally costing me tens of thousands of dollars because I just took the title company at their word. And this was an investor friendly title company. This wasn't just like,
mhm.
some random title company that I picked. This was the title company in town. And, over and over again, they were just basically sending me away and I'm crumpling up these contracts for, even in 2009, it was, six, eight, 10, $12,000 a piece. And I didn't know that there was a better way. I didn't know there was a way to work through these title issues, or even better yet, to have somebody else do it for me so that I could go out and focus on parts of my business that matter, the things that I should be doing as a business owner, or at least having my team focus on, which is talking to sellers and talking to buyers.
Mhm. Yeah, in our business, we've definitely discovered that we excel in the acquisition and the finding those properties, doing that necessary marketing. It is this back end stuff where we rely on expertise to deal with.
We feel like we're partners in helping them, grow their business and make sure that their deals are closed. And in fact, because I was a 15-year wholesaler and 20-year investor, we realized it was super important for all of our coordinators. They're all in office. Nobody works remote. Everybody's actually here in our office in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I wanted to make sure that one coordinator was assigned to your deal. It wasn't going to get bounced around between a bunch of people because everything that we're trying to do is compress time. I'm trying to make sure that our clients are paid just as quickly as possible. And then somebody else is working on it. One person works it from start to finish. So we don't have any lag, as that file bounces around desks. The most important thing that I was really focused on was making sure that my coordinators cared as much about your deal. The way that we solved that was from the very beginning, they've all worked on a blended pay system where they get a salary, which is, these are all very experienced real estate people. Some are from the mortgage industry, some are from the credit industry, some have been agents. So we even have people that have worked in title company. So we bring all of that in, but they also get a little commission or a spiff when your deal closes. And some of them, they're closing 10 to 15 deals per week. These are pretty big commission checks that they're getting. But what that does is that makes sure that they are always making sure these deals are pushed over the finish line in any way possible. And I'm not here to say every deal can close, right? You've been doing this, sometimes deals are just a mess, right? And that you cannot get that done. But anything that is closable, they will get it over the finish line.
One of those things that I think is especially interesting here is do you there seems to be a void regarding the concept you brought up earlier. We have a lot of gurus telling you that you find the deal and the money will follow.
Mm.
Does your team help with any of that, helping people create and find partnerships?
There are some legal issues there where we can't be too involved in the deal. Also, we own our own title company now, and we're active in a bunch of states. So being in the title business is very, very strictly regulated. So they were concerned about our TC company, so we had to go through a lot of hoops for that. One thing we can't do is we can't be involved in the actual, right? There's just some
No.
stuff there where we have to be an independent, third party. So that's not something that we can do, but all of our clients are, we do have like a Facebook group where we do coaching and bring in, industry experts. So they're in a group, a private Facebook group with all of the, really some of the top wholesalers in the country. So there's a lot of back and forth and deal trading that goes on in there.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, especially when you have an open community and especially the size that your community likely is.
Yeah, we have over 200 clients and they're all very active people that are doing deals. So we've got some people that are doing one, and then we've got some companies that are doing, 30, 40 deals a month.
Well, would you mind sharing like a story? Like what are some of the give us one where you helped somebody where it might have fallen through before.
Yeah. So, and again, I have 16, 17 coordinators, but we have stories all the time where it is, there's a seller. We did one that was like, man, I want to say she had like 20 heirs. It took her like 9 months to get this thing over the line because there's one heir in prison, one person's overseas. We had to help them track down a couple of other ones, but that's a lot of what it is. It feels some days like we're herding cats, trying to get everybody to the closing table all at one time. And one of the things that we're really able to step in and help is, for our client who's the wholesaler, we're that independent third party, right? We are just here to help everybody through the transaction. So if there's animosity between heirs with, where one heir is upset at the investor who's buying it, or, because they're mad with the other person, whatever. And there's so much drama. We deal with lots of that, lots of fraud, or we're able to stop it because we do so many deals. But yeah, we're able to step in and be like, hey, Joe, I understand you're mad with everybody. Here's what we need so that we can, right? Other instances, people being overseas, we're very adept at solving those problems and making sure that we get with the embassy or the consulate there so that we can get the correct paperwork over there. Cause if you're out of the country, the only place where you can get something notarized by a US citizen where it's going to be valid here in the country is at either an embassy or a consulate. So we do lots of that type of stuff. And then not as common, but it certainly happens a lot where somebody's in prison or in jail and working through that system to get the paperwork over so that they can sign and get those done and sent back to us. The interesting thing about people in jail is they're the easiest people to find. The state
Mhm.
keeps very close watch on them, so you know exactly where they are. It's always a process to get everything approved and get it done. So just lots of stuff like that. On the fraud side, we catch fraud all the time where we'll have our investors put something under contract. Maybe they did it all through text or they only talked to somebody one time. And once we get involved and start asking for documentation and copies of IDs and things like that, we stopped one the other day where our investor was actually going to close on it and the title company was willing to close on it, but we could not get the seller on the phone. And we realized that it was like a junior, not the senior. It was his dad who had the property, but this kid was trying to sell it. So we're always on the lookout for stuff like that. Fortunately, there's so much fraud in today's world.
It sounds like you got a team of investigators.
They're really good. And what I'm very clear, like I know who I am. I'm a wholesaler. I understand what my personality type is, just like most of the investors out there. We're very driven and we love to talk too much and make deals and do all that type of stuff. And, that's great. That serves us really well in this business. But I also know what I'm not good at, right? I'm not good at paperwork and I'm not good at Excel sheets and I'm not good at, making calls when I'm supposed to and doing all of those things. So that's, early on, I realized that was something where my TCs really helped me explode my business because they were a great compliment to me. So when we are hiring our transaction coordinators, we really look for that, right? Not only are we looking for somebody who has experience in real estate or in collections or insurance, credit, collection, whatever it is, but that they have that personality type that's very driven, loves to solve problems. They enjoy being on the phone. They love being in the CRM, taking notes and doing those types of things. So it's a completely different personality type, but really we were having a meeting this morning and They were talking about how well we mesh up with our clients, right? We have that piece kind of missing in their personality.
Just to remind everybody, we're talking about EZREIClosings.com. You can learn more at that domain, and that's going to be, of course, a clickable link in the show notes. If you found some value in what we're talking about so far here today, do us a quick favor and share this with one of your investor friends. David, I would imagine this is saving your investors or the people you're partnering with a ton of time. Do you
Yeah.
monitor that? Like, what's the average time saving your team is providing here?
Yeah, we've estimated because some deals are easy, some are incredibly complicated, but we figure, anywhere from 15 to 20 hours is what it really takes to get a deal closed. And, the one thing that I've heard from our clients over and over again, usually it's about 60 or maybe max 90 days out is, oh my God, I didn't realize how much work this was. I didn't realize how much time this was taking. And the second thing is, oh my goodness, I didn't realize somebody else could do this for me, right? This is fantastic. Because what happens is we have our clients, we create a portal or CRM, right? So they can see their deals, but nobody else can see it. So they can log in anytime, day or night. And when they actually start to see all of the notes that go into the touches that are involved in these contracts, it's substantial. When I was doing it, it felt like doing transaction. It's not the thing that jazzes us up. It's not fun. It's not exciting. There's no endorphin rush
Mhm.
from doing transactions. And it feels like you're walking through quicksand or just death by a thousand, right? Transactions always feels like the thing that's keeping me from doing the fun part of my business, right? We're just talking buyers and talking to sellers. But when they can sit there and see, 4 times a day for 3 weeks, somebody's been involved in this file, they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize, all of that was being done. The one, if they weren't doing it, that's why they were losing deals. But two, what I say is when I'm talking to somebody who's interested in coming in and working with us, I say, listen, somebody's got to do this work. It's either you or me, but somebody's got to do this work if you have to close these deals. You can't expect the title company is not going to track all of these things down. They're just not. They're going to give you a list. Sometimes that list is going to come from an abstractor and it's like Latin, right? It's all legalese. And you've got to Google every third word to figure out how what it is they're looking for. But somebody has to collect these documents so that the title company can close it. And it's not always going to be them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, uh, I'm what I was trying to get at too regarding that last question is that w time is money, and when we're trying to do this, it seems like with any kind of real estate investing strategy or entrepreneurs, we're always trying to make the most out of every penny we spend.
Sure.
You mentioned you have a flat fee associated with this. Trying to get into that mindset of this being an investment as much as anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And our pricing plans vary. So I don't want to throw out any one particular number, but depending upon the number of deals you're doing per month, right? 1 to 5, 6 to 10 to 20, whatever it is, we have a pricing model in there that will work for you. Here's what I tell people. We are roughly half the price of the next closest person. We are incredibly cheap. We can also, when we do your onboarding, show how to completely offset the cost of our service and actually turn your transactions into a profit center. But you're absolutely right. Time, especially as we get older, right? One thing I've learned is that across the 50 mark, everything in your life, you just feel that clock ticking a little bit quicker. I only have so many hours in the day to dedicate to my business. And I want to make sure that I'm doing it. I'm spending my time because it's a valuable currency in the areas where I'm the most of it. Right? Where do I get the most bang for my buck? I know that talking to people and making deals, that's where I'm most valuable. I am not the most valuable person calling the Secretary of State for Tennessee to figure out who handles old bank files where a bank has gone out of business and tracking that person down to get proof that a mortgage was paid. That is not the highest and best use of my time. If I spend a day or two doing that, what's that lost opportunity? Well, we're not selling deals. I'm not fixing my marketing. I'm not talking to sellers. I'm not doing the things that actually move the needle and generate revenue.
You've moved from one business to the next successful business, and in every scenario, you've scaled to the size of the team you have here again now in a relatively short amount of time. Could you share some of those lessons learned associated with scaling a business and starting from 0?
Yeah, 100% because I wasn't good at it at the beginning. In fact, I was the worst person in the beginning. When I started back in 2009 as a full-time investor, I made all the mistakes that I think a lot of new investors make. And that is Nobody can do it better than me. I'm the smartest person. Nobody works harder than me. I have to keep control of everything. And I'm going to wear that control freak as like this badge of honor. And I didn't realize how dumb that was. There are things, all of us in all of our businesses, right? We're all freaking amazing at something, right? That's why we run our own business and be entrepreneurs. But just because we're good at one thing does not mean we are good at everything, right? We can definitely see an experience or instances of this in the corporate world where somebody's really good at something and tries to get into something else and it's abject failure, right? It was a hard lesson to learn. It took me a little while to figure this out, but like I should not be doing my own bookkeeping. I
Mm.
should not be doing my own accounting. I clearly cannot run my own PPC campaign because it's far too complicated. I don't manage my own properties anymore. I don't want to be doing my own transactions. I just want to be focused on the parts of the business where I can really excel. So that was the first thing, realizing that I had to bring some experts in to surround, right? Which any good CEO or business owner, that should be your goal, right? Is to surround yourself with the best possible people. So that was the first thing. But within those people, I want to make sure that they all believe and understand, and I have to do a good job communicating this to them, that they believe in our mission and they understand where the company's going and they want to grow the thing that we're all creating together. So, that was one of the most important things. And that's hard for a lot of us that come into this without maybe a lot of management experience or working in corporate America, which I did, but it's still hard to give up that little bit of control. And you'll realize once you do and you have the right people, sometimes that's trial and error. It takes a process to get these people in place, but that's the only way that you're going to be able to scale. It's absolutely impossible to do 20 deals a month by yourself. Impossible. There's nobody that can do it. Can't be done. And you'll just wear yourself out because really the max is maybe 3 to 5 deals. Like at any kind
Mm.
of consistency, 3 to 5 on your own, you're at the top of the mountain. But if you want to get to the 10, 15, 20, 25 deals or grow your business, then you're going to have to add some people in there. Even if you just want to do 5 or 6 deals a month, if you want to have any kind of life or breathing room, you're going to have to add some people in there. And, I firmly believe, a TC will give you 30% of your time. Absolutely. If you wanted to outsource anything, it should be us. And
Mhm. I think especially when people get into real estate investing for the first time, they're attracted to every shiny object, and there's this breadth versus depth that
Mhm.
occurs.
Yeah.
So you see this surgence of growth because when you start to focus down and really figuring out what you're good at, you're going to see some growth there.
Yeah.
The second aspect of any kind of growth is what you just talked about is learning to let some things go. If you're going to scale, you do have to bring on board team members, whether it's companies such as yours or hiring your own team.
Yeah, absolutely. The way I explain to people is if you were to take a log and chop it in half and you could see all the rings, right? You're that center ring. That's you, right? So you're the core of your business. And, the further away you get from that, the less people will care, right? So whether you're hiring some BA from the Philippines and, they may be a good person. And this is not to say anybody's a bad person who's not you, but yeah, their investment in your company, emotional or financial is going to be less than you. But that's where you get the power of scale, right? So even if you have somebody who's doing 80%, 80% as good as you, well, that's 100% better than you, right? But 100%, I'd rather have 20 people doing 80% of what I can do than me trying to do it all myself.
Right. Well, again, David, this is always such a great conversation, and we could go down a variety of different rabbit holes here today. Just to remind everybody, EZREIClosings.com. That's going to be a clickable link in the show notes. Before we jump into rapid fire questions, David, is there anything, questions, or concepts we should have covered so far here today?
You hit all of the big ones. Time is definitely an important thing that we want to do for our clients. At the end of the day, I always tell them, I want you to do more deals, right? We're going to do more deals because we're going to take some of that extraneous, all that nonsense off your plate, right? I want you to be focused on your deal. If you're doing more deals, you're going to make more money, right? And if I can give you back some time so that you can have a little bit of freedom, because I remember what it was like working, 15 hours a day, every single day. Well, 6 days a week. Sundays, I would only do 8 hours, but I want you to have that time freedom back so you can do the things that you got into this business to do. Nobody read Rich Dad Poor Dad and said, I want to be my own boss and work, 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day, right? But that's what ends up happening. So where can you buy back that time?
Mhm. It is such a important piece of it. You know, we keep talking about financial freedom, but nobody takes a step and takes a breath to decide what does that mean. In the end, we want that freedom, our time back. We want to regain our life back, but we don't take a step back and just kind of define it as such.
Yeah, for a lot of people, maybe they wanted to start their own business so they get out of the corporate grind and be able to pick up their kid every day at 2 o'clock, right? Or make a bunch of money so they can donate to a cause that's important to them, or be able to travel, right? Whatever it is, everybody has a different why, a different story.
Mhm.
And the only way you're going to get to that point is to have your business running where you can not be there all the time, right? And that's going to involve either outsourcing or bringing in some people to help. You can certainly hire your own transaction coordinator. I'm not telling you we are the only answer, but you click our link and become a client today. Tomorrow we have 17 coordinators ready to go for you. But you can certainly put out the ads, do the interviews, make the job offers, do the hiring, do the training, do the managing, and hope you get somebody that knows what they're doing. Of course, you're ready to go. So you're going to have to bring in people that can help you do your books, manage properties, whatever it is. If you ever want to be able to step outside your business and go on a 30-day,
Again, it is easyreiclosings.com. But if you're ready, Dave, we'll just jump right into some rapid fire questions.
go, I'm ready.
Number one, what lie do real estate investors tell themselves and sometimes to others?
Oh, tell themselves. Mm, that's a good one. This is something that I definitely did in the very beginning. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. I just work harder, I'll be successful. And that's not true. You can only do so much. But if I work smarter, which is what my dad tried to teach me as a kid, if I work smarter and I bring in some people that can help me accomplish my goals and get me to that, to whatever the end is, then I can get there faster. So I think that was something that I've struggled with. Even my brother used to tell me, "Oh, let's get this VA to help us do this." I'm like, "No, Tom, I don't do that. They'll never do as good a job as us." And the reality is I didn't need them to do as good a job. I needed them to just take this one thing off the plate so that I could focus on the other stuff. The things that
Do you have a book recommendation or what are you reading right now?
Dude, boy, I really recommend two. Normally, I tell people Emerging Markets by Dave Lindahl. It was a book written about 15 years ago. Absolutely amazing. It was the reason that we ended up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But the one that I've been talking about lately is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Listen to it on the audiobook. I don't typically recommend audiobooks. This one was amazing. And a lot of the things that I talked about today are things that really solidified that I really need to buy back time and spend my time in that zone of genius or whatever it is, that area where I am really the best, and
Mm.
make sure that I'm outsourcing those other things, to really people who can do a great job. Like we just brought in a fractional CFO and she is now handling all of our books and budgeting and projections and making sure that we're staying on track and getting to where we need. I've got a personal assistant. I've started to really take the things off of my plate that I should not be doing so that I can focus on doing things like this and outreach and growing the business. So Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell, absolutely great book.
Well, I got it up on my screen.
Definitely buy it.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Keep more properties. Do not wholesale them all. And I'm
That's
sure you
probably one of the number one
yeah,
responses I get.
right. When I get sitting around with investors who were around back in 2009 here in Chattanooga, we all say, "Why don't we just get more properties?" But I don't ever regret what we did. We were young and broke and needed those $5,000 assignment fees. Yeah, we could have kept some more. That would have been ideal.
What single strategy, process, or tool have you implemented that has had the biggest time saving impact to you and your business?
Definitely the stuff in Dan's book, Buy Back Your Time, working through that process of what are the things that I'm doing, cataloging, what are the things that I'm doing for 2 weeks? And let's look at those things and how many of those didn't really serve. How many of those things where I thought I needed to be doing it and outsourcing them was the way to go. And outsourcing to people on my team or to somebody outside the company. But for somebody that's running a wholesale business, I'll give you an example of something I did years ago. In my business, I was the person who put every deal on our website to be sold. And I wrote the copy. I had to have control of that because I thought I could do it better than anybody. And then it just got to the point where I was literally the bottleneck in our process for our company. So I had a virtual assistant who still is with me to this day at the new company. And I said, Alex, I'm going to teach you how to do this. And you know what? Was he perfect? Nope. But he was 90% as good. I taught him a template. I taught him how to do this. And all of a sudden, boom, now my time's freed up. And not only was my time freed up, but the people down the road, all of my dispo agents, my marketing manager, and all those people, now they were able to get their deals on time and made everything flow much smoother. So 100% learning which things in your company you should not be doing is one of the most valuable things.
One last time, easy reiclosings.com. Really appreciate your time again, David. This was fantastic. I hope you'll come back sooner than a couple of years this next
Yeah.
time.
We'll talk about some other cool things like owner financing or some other strategies. And let's talk about fun stuff. We've been doing this a long time. So good job.
Yeah, it was great. Talk to you again soon.
All right. Bye bye.